Now, the constant power cuts are putting our lives at risk. ER24 says traffic congestion caused by load shedding can affect emergency response times, and unstable cell phone networks can result in emergency calls failing to connect. Traffic lights in some major cities have backup power, but these are always targeted by criminals. Let's talk more about this. I'm joined now by ER24's spokesperson, Russel Meiring, to take the conversation forward. Russel, this is one of those consequences of ESCOM-induced and ESCOM, delivered power cuts that we don't immediately think of. Just paint for me the picture of your life support teams, the emergency response teams trying to get to the scene of a major crash somewhere in Johannesburg or a major incident somewhere in Johannesburg, and we are on stage 4 load shedding. What are the implications for your teams?
Unfortunately, this load shedding has led to quite significant implications to all services, whether it be the emergency services, the local authorities, traffic, fire. Obviously now with the number of traffic lights being out, this obviously leads to a congestion of traffic and an increased response times of all emergency services trying to get to whatever emergency situation they may be responding to. This includes heavy traffic situations, motor vehicle accidents, even emergencies at the home.
Yeah, just give me a picture in terms of, I don't know, are you able to quantify and say perhaps, on a clear day when traffic is flowing in a major city like Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, Bloemfontein, etc., your average response times would be pegged at this level, but since we've been having these power cuts, this is the difference. Something that's like an average or a mean.
Absolutely. Well, we obviously try to keep our response times as low as possible, preferably under 10 minutes for your built-up areas. Now, with the traffic, that can be a lot longer. So obviously, we are placing our emergency vehicles at strategic areas to try overlap and cover as many areas as possible. But with the increased traffic congestion, this can lead to a delayed response.
And the difficulty, if I can imagine it for a moment, is that in many of these cities, you don't really have the option of a yellow lane, right? To simply go off to the yellow lane unless you are in one of these highways. But if you are driving within the city, there's that added difficulty for your response vehicles.
Absolutely. This does play quite a significant contributing factor. Obviously, on the highways with the emergency lanes on either side, we can utilize that to try and get to our destination quicker. Obviously, with your built-up areas where there are no emergency lanes or in your CBDs, can be very, very difficult to navigate, as well as people utilizing the emergency lanes or blocking the intersections, trying to get through traffic as quickly as possible. This can obviously exacerbate the situation that paramedics and emergency workers are trying to deal with at the moment. So this is why we always urge members of the public that obviously if you see an emergency vehicle coming through, to make way for this vehicle and allow them to get to their situation. Don't utilize emergency lanes, especially during load shedding, because obviously now there will be congestion and it is something that the public will have to deal with.
Yeah. In fact, one of the concerns many years ago when I was a cab reporter, I did do one of those ride-alongs with you guys, actually, with ER24. And I got to learn a bit about some of your own teams' concerns about their own safety. In that, as you mentioned, that situation when there's congestion, some people tend to lose their sensibilities and situations can result. Are you seeing that, a situation where, because people are impatient and have been stuck in this traffic for an hour, they start, taking risks a bit more, placing some of your own teams in danger as well?
Absolutely. I do believe that obviously frustrations are high with load shedding going on as long as it has. And people stuck in traffic needing to get to their destinations, whether it be work, dropping the kids off at school, and now sitting in traffic, can definitely lead to higher sort of levels of anger and frustration, trying to take chances. And this leads to severe situations where other people can be put into danger. as well as emergency services. Obviously, we are driving at a higher speed, obviously safely, but when someone takes a rash decision or movement to try beat the traffic, take a quick cut, or change lanes without indicating, can put others at danger. And a lot of the time, it is the emergency services that are at risk.
Is there a way that we can mitigate some of this, Russel? While you talk about that, also mention the whole situation around the clogging up of the cell phone network, because that has become quite a conversation, has it not? If I can't call my friends, it of necessity means that I will have difficulty getting hold of emergency services when I need to. How do we mitigate?
That can be very, very difficult. Obviously, a lot of the cell phone providers have put measures in place. So they will be using UPS inverters, battery backups and things like that. But obviously that only lasts for a certain amount of time, and they do need to be recharged. Obviously, all the emergency services are looking into other means to try mitigate this and allow the members of the public to contact us. So it is something to take into consideration, and it is very difficult for the emergency services currently, where signals may be down in the area, to get those emergencies and try get as much information as possible.
Yeah. All right, Russel Meiring, thank you for joining me and sharing some of your insights. Just one of the many aspects of what happens when Eskom views us, its customers, as a load to be shed. And yeah, we're in the dark, and this is part of the consequences that we are living with.